in order to become so. One of these major changes was the fall of the Qing dynasty. This change paved the way for future adjustments in China's government by transitioning from 2,000 years of absolute monarchy to a period of being a republic, later leading into an establishment of communism in 1949. The Qing dynasty was the last dynasty in China, ruling from 1644 to 1912. The Qing dynasty adapted the mandate of heaven.
The mandate of heaven is a concept like the divine right of kings in Europe that says this family, which we call a dynasty, and this individual, whom we call in English the emperor, have the right, have the power, have a legitimate place at the top, not only of the state, but of the cosmos.
Imperial corruption, revolts, natural disasters, and defeats in wars against the Europeans greatly weakened the Qing dynasty in the 19th century. The government attempted to modernize during the self-straightening movement in the late 19th century, and it yielded few lasting results. However, China eventually realized that the movement wasn't very effective when it was defeated by the Japanese in the First Sino-Japanese War in 1894 to 1895. The result of that loss demonstrated that reforms had modernized and benefited Japan since the Meiji Restoration in 1867 and surpassed the self-strengthening movement in China. Emperor Xianfeng, who was ruler of the Qing dynasty in the 19th century, needed a son and had many concubines, but only one of them, Xixi, bore a son, and that made her an empress. Emperor Xianfeng died in 1861 at the age of 30. His primary wife, Xixi's cousin Xi'an, had a daughter, but no sons. Therefore, Xixi's 5-year-old son Tongzhi became the emperor. But Xixi's greed for power became uncontainable, and finally, in 1865, she seized the throne. She was a strong ruler and put down the rebellions which threatened her. During her years in power, the Western nations gained great influence in China. But Xixi resisted the foreign influence in China, despite the inventions they have brought to China. The empress's greed for wealth brought down China as well, putting her own interests ahead of the nations. The empress used her money on personal luxuries like banquets and jewels. She drank from a jade cup and ate with golden chopsticks. She used the Chinese Navy funds to build herself a lavish summer palace. This financial corruption weakened China's military. Xixi's son Tongzhi died with no heir to the throne. Xixi, desperate for power, had her 3-year-old nephew Guangzhu take the throne. In 1889, he directed the 100 Days Reform after listening to the foreigners, unlike Xixi, who still resisted their influence. Eventually, he became fearful of the empress and surrendered all of his power to her.
In the last decade of its rule, the Qing tried to reform. They tried all kinds of new ideas, mostly based on the experience of Japan. But they were too little too late.
Empress Xixi Dowager expressed more concern for her personal benefits rather than the nation's, which was one of the largest factors for leading to the decline of the Qing dynasty and ignited the flame of the Xinhai Revolution. Sun Yat-sen, or Sun Wen, was the leader of the 1911 revolution that brought down the Qing dynasty, and he became the founding father of the Republic of China.